Yeah. Yeah. I've been waiting. Yeah. Run it back.
Yeah.
Back at it again.
Man. Huh?
I said back at it again.
Yeah, man. It's been. I feel like even though it's only been 2 weeks this time, it still feels longer than that, don't it?
Yeah, it does. It does. Yeah. There's just a lot of stuff that happens that I see, and I'm not keeping track of it, and I think that's really what it is.
Dude, honestly, man, it's too much because like what I've started to realize is like, okay, if you are if like both of us are off social media, right? And if you're off social media, it's very difficult to keep up with what's going on, in popular culture. You actually have to actively do your own research, keep on top of stuff, check different websites.
Yep.
Whereas make the argument that one thing social media is really good at is pooling a lot of information you would have to go to a lot of different sources for into one platform or arena. So, but I mean, I don't feel like I'm really missing out on shit because when I finally hear the thing that everybody's talking about, I'm like, so why is everybody talking about that?
No, go ahead.
It just seems like the things that people blow up and are so hype about, I finally hear about them and I'm like, wait, why is everybody tripping about this?
I know, and it's weird after the longest time, like people are still so sensitive about things, and it's not getting better by any means.
Yeah.
I saw Lion King today.
I gotta go see that tomorrow.
It's good. They keep it very true to the original. Like it's basically a complete remake of that one with every song and every move and every line and all that stuff. With a few things added, like the random Beyonce Spirit song is not in the first one. So, but there was a line, and I was talking to Lydia about it after the movie. There was a line where. What is his name? Pumbaa, the warthog. He says something about bullying. Like he doesn't like bullying, and I was just like, oh, they got it in there. They got a little line in there to like, we don't like bullying. Bullying was good for you back in the day. Like I
promise you it was, bro.
It was. Well, at least that's what my parents would say most of the time. Because it happened, most of the time it's happened to everyone at least once.
Right, but man, look, the people who weren't bullied are usually the most sensitive people.
Oh yeah, they were sheltered a little bit. It's sheltering.
Right.
You got to go through the rite of passage.
It's a rite of passage. Yeah. Obviously, man, nobody's sitting there, advocating for kids to get the shit beat out of them and like egregious things, having their head shoved in a toilet and just abused.
Speaking from experience here.
No, I mean, like,
just maybe I saw it. I saw it.
Look, do I know what toilet water tastes like? Maybe. I'm not making any definitive claims,
right?
But no, I'm saying like nobody's advocating for severe physical, mental, and verbal abuse, but a little bit of teasing, a little bit of testing your fortitude, I think is good for kids. I know, it's made me personally better in my adult life, especially in the workplace, because now I can let things roll over my shoulders and not really take things to heart too much because of those experiences that I had. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I completely agree.
In my skin to like a certain extent where, man, in order to say something to offend me, dude, oh man. And even if you said something that good that could offend me, I'm probably going to laugh at it because that shit takes creativity, man.
Yeah, for sure. No, I completely 100% agree. Unfortunately, I guess kids have to deal with the online aspect of it where it follows them home all the time. Like when I was in I guess high school, MySpace was a thing. But I mean, and you connected with people on there, and I feel like there were comments, right? Weren't there comments, like a comments page, I guess, on there? But it didn't. I don't know. I don't feel like. I guess that's when the online bullying kind of started. I don't know. It didn't. I mean, it was. I was kind of too old for it at that point. You know, that was like high school almost, and then Facebook was like when I was going into my freshman year of college. So. I don't know what that's like in terms of having to take it home with me, but you hear it all the time about kids like hanging themselves because it follows them home and stuff. And it's like, God, this is bad. Every time I hear about that, I'm like, how the fuck did they know how to hang themselves? Like, how they're young as shit. I didn't know how to tie a noose when I was that young. What the fuck are they? Google has corrupted me and everyone else, and you can find out whatever the fuck you want on there. Apparently,
yeah, dude. Yeah, I you know, that's definitely a good point that you bring up. That I certainly feel for the kids who had to deal with, you know, 24/7 bullying. I never had to deal with that. And then also, we're talking from a guy perspective as well, where I'm not, you know, I haven't researched this, but from what I've seen when I was online, the whole, you know, bullying doesn't seem to persist that amongst guys. It seems to be amongst women.
At what age?
Where a younger age.
Oh, a younger age. Okay.
Online bullying is something women have to deal with.
Okay.
Girls have to deal with more than men.
Yeah. I guess that's probably true.
More like physical. You know what I mean? And it's like if you're not right here for me to beat your ass, I'm not really gonna hop on the internet. Not saying that men don't do it, but it just feels. From what I've seen, it just seems to be more geared towards.
Yeah, because the men that do it online are the ones that end up being the fucking shooters that go out and kill everybody because all they are online. Yeah,
so I can imagine, you know, not being able to escape it certainly has a lot of like mental. It can do a lot of shit mentally to you, but man, enough to kill yourself, that's crazy.
Yeah, no, I mean, but with a little kid's mindset, it's hard to. You know, get into that mindset because all little kids are just crazy. Every fucking one of them. I mean, all of us were.
Yeah.
You don't know what's going
on
there.
Everything feels like the end of the world.
Yeah, exactly. You're like, oh, I always love the thing where it's like, when I grow up, it's gonna be fine. I'm gonna be an adult and I'm gonna have my shit figured out. Nope, you're gonna have way more problems and it's gonna be way more serious and way more threatening to your actual life. That's what you have to worry
shit
about.
Gets real, bro.
Yeah, it's not. It's
I think about it. I think about all the time how the fact when I was younger, I always said to myself, "Oh, all I need to do is hit this certain age, and then I'll just figure."
Yeah, right. I think I'm still saying that. I think I've said that for 35. 35. I like fives. I like fives. That's the only reason.
Legit, the only reason. Because like I think about, you know, once I hit 25, I was like, okay, I don't have it figured out now. And nobody else around me has it figured out.
Nope.
Then I hit. I'm like, and now that I'm 30, I'm like, oh, I thought I would have it figured out at 30, and I don't. And anyone else around me. So it's this gratifying yet terrifying feeling to say, oh, okay, nobody has it figured out. And then also at the same time, like, oh shit, none of you motherfuckers have it figured out. You are all winging it, bro.
Yeah, pretty much everybody is. I mean, there's just too many different ways to go about life, so you can't fall in somebody else's path is hard because you're not the same as them. Nobody's really the same as anyone else, so it's hard unless you're an identical twin, because that is the exception.
I don't think it works that way, bro.
I mean, if you're an identical twin, you are the same as that other person, like down to DNA.
Yeah, but your experiences are still different.
Not if you do everything together. But I guess, like, if you get in a fight and one gets punched in the face and the other doesn't, like, it's, I mean, but if it's 2-on-1 and you're twins and you're not beating somebody else up, I mean, that's sad.
That's the whole.
I don't know why I'm going this deep. I don't know why I'm going this deep into this twin thing, but, you know. Let's talk about something else.
I've always wondered about that shit. Like, somebody who looks exactly like you probably thinks exactly like you as well.
They talk about them having like telepathy and like weird like feelings when like one of the twins dies and the other one can feel it from a different place or something. It's crazy what they the links that they think that, or some people think that twins have.
Yeah, no, I mean there's certainly something to be said about that because I know even personally dealing with my own family, sometimes something just grips me and I'm like, oh, call your mom, or something grips me and it's like, call my brother, and it could be for both good and bad things. I'll call them in like something. I think you can really sense that amongst people you're close with, and I think amongst people in general that you're not even that close with. I know it sounds like some hippie bullshit, but I do genuinely believe in like a universal human connection that I think we ignore over here in first world countries because we're separated so much. But I think in third world countries and countries where they spend more time together, I think that goes without saying, where they're like, oh yeah, there is a natural bond amongst human beings because they're not distracted with the technology to get too far removed from that. Where, I probably closely interact with a few people every day, and they're people who are close to me. Very seldom do I throughout the day have close, very personal, intimate relations with strangers.
Yeah.
Where the countries, that's a common occurrence,
Yeah, you kind of have to get by because you have to. You need them for other things. Everyone provides everyone else a service, and that's how everyone gets along in those communities and those societies. Yeah. I was listening to, you know who Dan Carlin is? Rogan talks about him constantly, but I've never listened to his podcast, Hardcore History.
Yes, I started listening to it.
Okay, so I went back for the one in 2017 and I'm listening to the one where he's on Rogan just to kind of get a feel of who he is, because Rogan always talks about him before I listen to his podcast, which he has a ton, and there's some that are free, like the Wrath of the Khan series. That one's free, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
But
so there's some of them you have to pay to listen to?
They're $1. They're 99 cents, and it's crazy because like they'll be like 3 or 4, 5 hours, 6 hours long, and it's like, how can you not justify paying $1 for 6 hours of content? Like you have to pay $4 to rent a movie that's 2 hours long. So how do you justify that? But if you go on,
that's way harder.
Yeah, on your podcast app, like whatever you use, there will be free ones. And Wrath of the Khans, the whole series, it's like 6 episodes, and each one's like 2 hours. So you do the math. Yeah, it's crazy. But it's goddamn, where was I? We went way into him, and I forgot what the point was. It was something about history.
Hardcore history.
Yeah, it was something about history, and I don't fucking remember what it was.
Yep. The marijuana is primal brain.
It is. There it is. Nah, it had something to do with it was either something he said or something that guy Hotep Jesus said on Rogan.
Hotep Jesus.
Yeah,
man, he was all over the place, man.
He was, and it made me want to look into, and I did not, into Africans being across the globe before, in America before the slave ships brought them over here. Yeah, because of Egypt being such an advanced civilization. And it's like, they probably were here like well before, but probably not coming at the same time as maybe like Columbus and on the colonies or whatever. But I would say before that, they were probably here when no one was keeping records of who the fuck was here, obviously.
Yeah, no,
except the Native Americans, who all the our government was like, fuck these people, let's go. That's that's what I heard, at least.
I always find it interesting how we there's this common understanding of like, oh, Egypt used to kind of run the globe, and it was a black empire and all these kings, and somehow we're not as a general population, we don't know as much about it as, say, Alexander the Great and Napoleon. We know all about these conquerors and the many things they accomplished and the crazy shit they did, but we don't know that much about, civilizations before that, like primarily Egyptian civilizations. Maybe it might be the length of time.
I wish we knew more. I want to go to Egypt so bad, but I feel like it's out of reach, or it's a little dangerous. I don't know. Climbing a pyramid, I feel like there's booby traps and things that Indiana Jones, you probably can't do it. See, I would get shot immediately. I'd be like, hey, I can go. It looks fun.
And just start scaling a pyramid.
Dude, so I was like, you were saying something about ancient Egypt, and I was like, all right, I need to know how long their empire reigned, like how long it was. And I guess Alexander the Great was the end of it. He conquered ancient Egypt, and I gotta probably look into this with that hardcore history stuff. But it says goddamn, how long is 30 centuries? A century is 100 years, right?
That's 3,000 years, ain't it?
Oof, yes, I think that's right. Yeah. So it's for almost 30 centuries from the unification around 3100 BC to its conquest by Alexander the Great in 332 BC. So that's a long time.
Why isn't there like a more common perception of that? That's the part.
Well, because it's not America. You know why? Because it's not America.
but we still talk about others like Britain and stuff, and we talk about those.
Because we got away from them, because we beat them. Yeah. That's why. Because we're bragging still.
That's actually a fair point.
We're just like, we like your accents. That's about it.
Yeah.
And they're not even good. Dude. I hate them. I think that's an ugly accent. The English, I don't like the British accent.
Depending on where the British accent is from, it can sound really good. Yeah, but there are fucking atrocious.
Yeah, for sure.
Like I was in CVS and this lady was standing beside me and she had an English accent and it sounded really, really good. But she said she was like from some part that she's like, a lot of people don't know about it, and I don't remember the name of it because I'm not fucking English.
Okay. Yes. Okay.
I'm sorry, English people. That's very quick.
Well, rewind that, cut that out. First edit ever in the history of this podcast. By the way, congrats. This is episode 20. We made it to episode 20.
Episode 20.
Yeah.
Hey, that's big shit, man.
Yep.
I can't believe we put out 20 episodes, man.
Yeah, I'm gonna just put this one out like as soon as we finish. I mean, why not?
Because what were we
I'm gonna figure out how to do this live. I mean, I can download the app for the website that we use to host it, and we could do this live at some point.
I'll be down to do it live.
Yeah. See if we get like 1, 2, 3 listeners or something like that during the live broadcast.
I think people will tune in just to see us fuck up.
Oh yeah, no, I mean I won't notice the difference. I don't think it feels live. Yeah. It feels live right now. You know, all the audience listening, obviously.
Yeah, and it's not like we're gonna go back and edit this shit.
No, of course not. So, before we get into what we were kind of the main content we were kind of talking about discussing, I did have a few current events that I found and remember wanting to talk about.
Let's do it.
One really kind of crazy one. There was an animation factory in Tokyo, or not Tokyo, Kyoto, Japan. Some dude lit it on fire, and it killed 33 people.
I heard about that.
Yeah, it was like one of the main animation studios there.
And is there a backstory as to why he did
I don't know. That's what I was wondering, but it said no. There really wasn't. They haven't figured it out. At least he didn't die. He lit it on fire and walked away. So,
damn, that's some savage shit, man.
Oh, they mostly died from carbon monoxide poisoning. That's fucking terrible.
How?
Just being in the building on the top floor where he set it on the bottom floor, I guess.
Wow.
Yeah.
Sheesh. Yeah, I'd be really interested into what the reasoning was behind that. That's pretty gruesome, man.
Oh yeah, they got the guy too. So it's crazy. Okay, on to not as bad news. Oh, Tyreek Hill. What'd you want to say about that?
Yeah. So all right. So Tyreek Hill was currently under investigation for child abuse.
He's still in the Chiefs, right?
Yeah, still in the Chiefs, and obviously
wide receiver for the Chiefs.
Yep, and he had some stuff back in his past for domestic abuse.
Okay.
And wasn't suspended for that either. And then after the police conducted their investigation and all that stuff, they came to the conclusion that they cannot prove that Tyreek Hill was actually physically abusing his child. So the police took no action. So the NFL looked at that and they said, we're not taking any action either. And
I see that.
People are thinking that, it's a little suspicious because during whatever tiff that this happened, the child had a broken arm. And also, there was a recorded conversation between Tyreek Hill and his fiance about that altercation with their son. And she was claiming, like, you abused my son, so on and so forth. So there's a lot of incriminating evidence to suggest that he may have been doing these things. But I'm just curious to, had this been a domestic abuse case, or had this not been, probably you can make the argument that Tyreek Hill is top 5 talents in the NBA. In the NFL.
Yeah.
What but they have taken another course of action. You know, because it just felt like a kid
they
with a
are
broken
terrible at following their own rules that they set with their suspensions. Absolutely terrible. You know what you might as well do? Not suspend anyone ever for anything. That's the only way, because I'm actually just looking at an article on it, and it was there's all these people that are tweeting out about this. Like, Josh Gordon uses weed for mental health, gets suspended for dozens of games, excuse me. Tyreek Hill punches and bruises his son because he cries, gets no punishment.
Yep.
And then they talk about Tom Brady. They're like, Tom Brady's suspended for more probably than not having information. Which, yeah, I mean, you know, if somebody offered you information, people were mad at Brady for cheating. It's like, well, you know, I mean, I'm not gonna forget what I just heard. You know, I didn't ask them to tell me about, you know, what the other team was doing.
But here,
Tyreek, sorry.
Yeah, but just touching on the cheating real quick, with Tom Brady, it's when you're trying to get better at something, you're going to create shortcuts, right, to do things more efficiently.
Yeah.
And what's the difference between creating a shortcut and cheating? And shortcuts actually become part of games of operating, right?
Yeah.
So in a way, cheating is finding efficiency within a task.
They're experimenting with stealing first base in an independent league this year for the MLB. They are, for sure. Like, the MLB bought an independent league that is experimenting with, like, rule changes so they can try to implement them, like, in the actual minor leagues and then up to Major League Baseball eventually. So the other night, it was like a week ago, the first player ever to steal first base stole first base. So anytime the catcher drops the ball, anytime, no matter if it's a strike ball, you swung at it, you didn't swing at it, you can run to first base. So yeah, but if it's like a foul ball, you know, you can't run, obviously. But yeah, if the catcher drops the ball at all, if it's a wild pitch on the first pitch, say it's the first pitch of your bat and it's a wild pitch, it goes behind the catcher, you know, through his legs or beside him or something, you can run to first base.
That is nuts.
Right? Yeah. They just instituted that. But, I mean, they're doing it right because they're in the independent league. But as you said, it's like shortcuts eventually become part of the game because, I mean, fucking Major League Baseball bleeds fans every year. And by that, I mean, they all die a little by little every year and they don't gain any new ones. So
Yeah, Major League Baseball is struggling. And if they don't come up with something soon to make that sport
I don't think they can.
Yeah. And I've grown to appreciate baseball just because, I don't know, I've gotten older and more patient, and baseball is a patient man.
It is, for sure.
But you know, younger and being impatient, I couldn't handle that shit.
Yeah.
And now that I've started to appreciate the nuance of the game. But getting off the cheating thing for a while, I think the NFL is really struggling to look consistent. Because these rules are so arbitrary. And when you have this evidence that this kid could have really gotten fucked up, but then you have domestic abuse cases where things are so like 50-50, nobody knows, immediate suspension. I'm like, so where does what's the thought process? And it makes it so obvious that they're doing it, I think, because the Chiefs are obviously in everybody's conversation for winning the Super Bowl. You already lost Kareem Hunt this season, so that's a major blow to your team's success. But
that's because of the kicking the drunk woman incident?
Yeah.
And that's already controversial because you suspended him for that, and you're not going to suspend this guy for. They want the ratings, man. They want the ratings. They want the Super Bowl to be what it should be. They can't have the number one weapon of their MVP on the sideline.
Yeah, I was gonna say if you take Tyreek Hill off of the Chiefs, I mean, talk about shooting the team in the
Who are their other receivers? I did not keep up with the offseason. I don't know who they have.
Is Conley still there? What's that tight end?
Kelsey.
Travis Kelsey.
Yeah, I guess they still have him.
That's it.
All right.
You get rid of
That's
Tyreek
the
Hill,
list. That's it.
I think Sammy Watkins went there.
Oh yeah, and he's boomer bust all the time. You never fucking know. You never know with him.
It's 50 points in fantasy 1 week, negative points in fantasy. It's like, how do you get negative points, bro? Tell me how you gave me negative points, Sammy Watkins.
Yeah, I'm gonna be at the beach during my main on my family vacation, which we haven't done in since I was a kid. And for the draft that my like college friends do, so I have someone doing it for me. So I'm crossing, right, because it's always live, and it's just during the same weekend, so I can't. I mean, it's in two different places, so.
Yeah. Are you gonna at least?
And I'm going to Vegas the next day, actually, so it doesn't really make a lot of sense.
Yeah. Nah, you're just gonna have to wing it. Man.
Yeah, I know. Hey, dude, I never finish well. You know how fantasy works for me. I always think it's gonna be. I actually sometimes have a good year, and then right towards the end, it's like, oh, everyone breaks their leg. Melvin Gordon the other year when he tore his knee up. Yep, that was me. He was on my team.
Dude, I mean, I can be good at fantasy. I just know that for me to be good at fantasy, I basically have to make a commitment that whatever my primary job that earns me income at that time,
you have to do research during it.
To me, playing fantasy football, and the years that I've won has all been the same thing. I've put my main job to the side, used my entire 8-hour day to do fantasy football research, and I've crushed. I was making weight moves.
That's me in baseball.
That I knew people were gonna pop. You know what I mean? Like, but I can't do that.
Yeah, that's me with fantasy baseball. Hey, when I left CDW, my game went downhill because I don't have as much computer time anymore. Right? Yep.
So every time, this is funny. So like, if you're an office manager and a guy keeps winning your league, it's easy to cut that out. Just monitor his activity.
Exactly, and then you fire him, and then there becomes a new champion in the place.
I'd be a petty ass manager when it came to football shit.
I
never let anybody win, bro.
Of course.
But yeah, so no, I just wish, getting back to the topic at hand, I wish there would be something done to, because my big beef is, I know, like, obviously, you know, when domestic abuse cases come about, you got to handle those swiftly. You know, you can't have some professional athlete beating the shit out of a woman. That's not cool. So I want them to take action on that. But also, it frustrates me when it comes to kids. Why, man, every time it comes to kids, we're just like, fuck it. They'll be all right.
Yeah.
Like, the most vulnerable people in society, we just don't give a shit about. It feels like. When I think this would be a good chance for the NFL to take a stance.
Yeah.
You know, not the primary, but your biggest fans are children. So set an example that shit like this, behavior like this, is not okay. You know? But
yeah, I don't know if they're ever going to be consistent. I don't know if they even know what that means.
I believe so as well. But I think I'm assuming that more things are going to come out about this case in the near future, and that may force them to, you know, it might force their hand to actually take action against him.
It hasn't happened to my team yet, so it only happened to the owner of my team when he got caught with all the pills and the briefcase full of cash on the way to do whatever the fuck he was going to do. Yeah. They suspended the owner, and it's like, what does that mean? What is that? So actually, was he the GM? No, he's the owner. But yeah, I mean, as long as it doesn't happen to somebody on my team that's an integral part of the, you know, playoff run that the Colts will go on this year, you know, I'm good with whatever you know, they want to do.
Yeah. Man, the questions I have for what this guy was on his way to do with all that cash and all those pills.
Oh, I know. What is his name again? I always forget his name.
I don't know. This is your guy.
Yeah, I know.
Colts owner.
Oh, Jim Irsay. There you go. Yeah. Jim Irsay. Caught. Yeah. Colts owner Jim Irsay caught. That's what I typed in. Has been arrested. Owner was arrested Sunday night and charged with operating a vehicle while intoxicated and 4 counts of possession of a controlled substance. Damn, it was 3:07 a.m. He had $29K in cash that he had with him. What was
this man about to do, man?
Oh man, they found $29,029 in cash. Most of it in a briefcase and a laundry bag, where the police found numerous bottles containing prescription drugs and the silver Toyota Highlander that the billionaire was driving. Where the fuck? Whose car were you in?
You're trying to be inconspicuous.
That was not his car. You don't drive. If you're a billionaire, you're not driving a Toyota Highlander. I don't give a fuck. It would just no.
That was his. You know how like you have your burner.
The shirt he was wearing is so terrible.
What was he wearing?
I don't know. It's one of those like Jersey Shore type, graphic shirts with the sparkles on it, but it's like long sleeve. Oh god, it's bad. Where was he going? He must have murdered someone and took their vehicle and clothes and cash, or I don't know. That's wild.
Look, man, I wouldn't be surprised if he was not either coming from a murder or to a murder.
He was coming
but
from.
I think murder was involved.
Aaron Hernandez's house.
Man, all right. So I'm trying to put myself in his shoes. If I had a trunk full of empty pill bottles and $20,000 in cash, what am I doing? Trying to put myself in that state of mind.
A prostitute, I guess.
Highway at 307.
Either a prostitute or a lot of drugs that you're going to purchase, or you just sold a lot of drugs for a odd amount and spent some.
I think it's more complex than that, because for a prostitute, why all that for a prostitute? You're that rich, you can just make a phone call.
Hey,
that's not.
Think about the Patriots owner. The Patriots owner just got caught doing the same type of thing. Not with the cash. Not with the cash, but he was not calling. He was going there. He could have had someone come to him for sure.
Yeah, sure. But he didn't have $30K in cash on him.
No, he didn't. That would have
scenario if he was cooked out his mind with $30,000 in cash, you'd be like, this motherfucker's a wild man. So that
no one denies that. No one denies that. He is wild as shit.
He was going. Your man Robert Kraft was just going to get his happy ending.
They basically, I guess.
Can we have some compassion for him?
Yeah, sure. I guess. Yeah. So much compassion. He's never had any success at all.
Come on.
He's got the best snacks, and his team wins the Super Bowl.
Look, all is at what point do we cut a man some slack? Look, his wife had died. He was lonely, and he went to go get off by some Japanese women.
There you go.
What is
nothing at all? It's weird that it's illegal in our country. It's weird.
It's weird. It's odd, man.
Because it goes along the lines of you should be able to do with your body whatever you want to do. Period.
Like, no bananas. Yeah. Treat your body like a playground. I don't care.
There you go. Exactly.
Higher end than that.
Yeah.
6 bags is trash.
It's crazy that you can like put metal through your face. Like if you want to, people with like gauges, those the big ass things in your ear. Yeah, you're allowed to do that, like deform your face and body, but you can't just be like, I want to have sex, and then they're gonna give me some money for it.
It's so weird, because if you think about the act itself, so all right, so take this. Let's say they're not.
Can you sell hugs?
So you probably could.
Or kisses. You can sell physical contact of certain kinds, but not other kinds.
You can do that, but what I'm saying is like, look. So, all right, let's assume that they're not having sex. So, this woman is only touching the outside of his body. Right?
Okay.
There's no way for them to get diseases really, because she's using her hand, right? And it's not like he's forcing her to do it. She gets something she wants with his cash.
$10.
He wants, which is to get jerked off by somebody who's not him.
Or his dead wife. That would be weird. Oh man, she came back. Oh, do you remember a scary movie? It had to be number 2. Was it number 2 when they were in the haunted house? Scary movie.
Yeah.
And the girl has sex with the ghost of the house.
Hey, that's crazy.
Remember, she has sex with like the ghost of the house or whatever. Oh, might have lost Ray. Oh, there he is. He's back. It said weak Wi-Fi on my end.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, that was your end?
Yeah, that was me. It said weak Wi-Fi. I think it was handing over or something.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, that was part 2, right? When she was having sex with the ghost guy, and they were like all over the ceiling and shit. That was the whole when they did the Nike basketball commercial, like with wasn't it Nike where it was like choo, 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 choo. Yeah, exactly. It was like Marlon Wayans, and the dude in the wheelchair was like going back and forth, like.
And to this day, one of the funniest exchanges is when the two crippled dudes were going on each other. To this day,
Wait, oh yeah, the dude in the wheelchair and the guy with the hand, with the low hand, with the strong hand.
He's like, "Oh, you a bigger man," and walk away.
Oh yeah.
Hey, yo,
oh man, I love when he was like mixing up. He was mixing up the mashed potatoes with his hand, and they were like, "No, you don't need it. You don't need to do that." He's licking his finger. Yeah, he fucked the turkey. Oh man, you know what? I just realized I'm gonna make Lydia watch all the scary movies, even if she's seen them. Man. I gotta watch those all the way through, especially when Kevin Hart and Anthony Anderson come in with their Wake Up Dead or Turn Up Missing.
Yeah, dude.
You can't wake up dead.
Woke up dead.
You can. So if you a zombie.
Hey yo, dude, I have watched that entire movie just to see those parts. Man.
Yeah. I look them up on YouTube from time to time, at least once a year.
Dude, easily, man. Kevin Hart makes me cry. That's the Kevin Hart that I miss, man. Like, don't get me wrong. I love new Kevin Hart, and he is funny from time to time to me. But the old Kevin Hart, man,
yeah, he didn't have anything to lose then.
I'm laughing, bro. Yeah, man.
Yeah, nothing.
And it was more. He was more. I mean, he's goofy now, but I don't know. There was something different in my estimation. But no, not to him. It's just with success, that's just the natural progression of things. It's hard to maintain whatever that spark was. Yeah. When you have millions and millions of dollars in your own entity and conglomerate. So I'm not knocking the dude, but I definitely liked him way more in those times, man.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Yeah, dude, that's shit. But yeah, I know you wanted to get into
Oh, I got one more thing first before we get into that. Did you hear about the recent I don't know how it started actually, and I probably should look it up, but the Area 51 thing?
Yeah, Storm Area 51.
Yeah, the online joke or whatever, and the government responded.
Yes, I heard about it.
That is insane.
Isn't it the government responded something? What was the government's response? I don't remember.
The Air Force is warning people against storming Area 51 in Nevada after a Facebook event page organizing a meetup at the Alien Center tourist attraction went viral. Conspiracy theorists believe that the U.S. government has kept USOs and extraterrestrial life at the location, which is actually an Air Force training range. It might not be. As of Wednesday morning, over 1.5 million people said they were attending the event called Storm Area 51. They can't stop all of us. That's what the event was called.
It's true.
I guess. The event is scheduled for September 20th at 3 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time. Oh, my God. And then another 1.1 users indicated they were interested. Oh, man, that's funny. Oh, yeah. And it said the United States Air Force is aware of the Facebook post. The Nevada Test and Training Range is an area where the Air Force tests and trains combat aircraft. As a matter of practice, we do not discuss specific security measures, but any attempt to illegally access military installations or military training areas is dangerous. That's what they wrote. Like, basically a little veiled threat.
Yeah. But here's my thing. If a million people rushed it, what would the government do? Do they let them in, or do they kill 1 million people?
Oof, they gonna kill them to keep the secrets, I think, until one of them gets in. And then like, all right, turn it off, stop.
I've always wondered that.
I've always
wondered
what?
If a group of people got together and made up their minds that this is what we're gonna do, what would the government do? If you're really truly hiding these secrets, do you just wipe out that many people and just say, hey guys, this is what you're going to try to do?
No, they wouldn't do it. I don't think. I don't know. Actually, I'm not really sure what they would do. They would use non-lethal rounds and just put them down, and then everybody would think they got abducted by aliens. People? I don't know. Are they actually going to all show up? Holy shit! I can't wait till September 20th.
I think they'll show up, dude. And here's another question: what do you think is what do you think is scarier? Finding out definitively that aliens do exist, or finding out the opposite definitively?
I'm pretty sure that it's already been definitively proven that they do exist. So I'm not.
How?
I'm not really like just all the different videos and evidence of what are they called, like testimonials or people getting interviewed about what they saw. You heard the Bob Lazar
Of course.
podcast? I gotta watch that documentary. But I mean, dude, the craziest thing was the technology. I mean, the fact that we have technology that didn't exist now it does, like from other. It's got to be from somewhere else. I mean, I'm convinced. It's not that. Plus, it's so big. It's something out there. It's not that they've been here at some point.
No, but I'm not talking about definitive. I'm not talking about your definition of definitive to you on a personal level. I'm talking about if you found out on a definitive level the same way we know that cars exist. So what do you think would be scarier? As a population having the knowledge that we're the only ones on Earth for sure, or finding out that we are insignificant? Which would be scarier?
Oh, finding out we're the only ones. For sure.
I think so.
Yeah, for sure. So. Yeah. Because I'm not. The other thing doesn't necessarily scare me at all. It's more exciting, really.
If we were the only ones, I would be freaking the fuck out.
Yeah, right. Did you hear what did you hear what Bud Light said that they would do? It's so dumb.
What?
Bud Light is offering free beer to any alien that makes it out of Area 51. Like, okay, I see what you did there. I see what you did. You just and it's funny because they did it on their Twitter. It just said,
Are they basically like subsidizing this stampede, bro?
Oh, they created a label with the alien on it. It says "We come in peace," but they wrote on Twitter, "We'd like to be the first brand to formally announce that we will not be sponsoring the Area 51 raid." And then the next tweet, like subtweeting that tweet, said, "Screw it, free Bud Light to any alien that makes it out."
That's crazy, man. I hope people do it, man. But look at me being a sideline watcher and not saying, "Oh, fuck it, I'll go and participate." How many people? I think most people are like me. They're like, "Oh, I hope somebody else goes and does this so I can find out this information," rather than a lot of people sitting there saying, like, "I'm going to fucking do this." I bet like 100 people show up, if that.
What, at the raid?
Yeah.
I mean, 101 if you count me.
You said what?
I said 101 if you count me.
You going?
I'm going. I am
Dead
going.
ass.
I'm going. Yeah. No, I'm not going.
Dead ass.
I'd love to go though. I'd love to go and see it, but you know they don't let people there, so it's kind of difficult.
You watch it from a distance. Maybe get a drone popping. You got a drone, don't you?
It's an Air Force base. There's no way you get a drone in there. That's literally you could get on the ground easier than you could get a fucking thing in the air near there.
Bruh. A guy almost crashed a plane into the White House. I think you can get a drone over there, bro. I think you can get a drone. I think the have surrounding shit is not as airtight as most people think it is.
Maybe not. Well, according to Bob Lazar, it's not even Area 51. That's the crazy place. It's some site below that, south of that.
SR4, right?
Yeah. Something like that. I don't even know. Oh man, I can't even find what we're trying to talk about today.
I thought you just wanted to get into America's history and kind of the good and bad things.
I do. That's what I'm trying to find. It's like a complete list of bad things we've done, but you know they're probably not going to put that out there. I feel like. I feel like that should be fairly easy. I found a list and it's called McSweeney's Internet Tendency Celebrate. I don't know what this is. But it looks like a paper or a running list of atrocities, and I thought it was of all the United States atrocities, and it's 546 things long, and I was like, oh shit, that's long. But it's just for Trump since he got in office.
Oh my god!
And it's in chronological order. So what you want to know? First or last? First or last thing he did wrong?
Give me the first one.
On February 10th, 2011, well before he became president, stoked false claims that Barack Obama had lied about his education. During a speech to the Conservative Political Action Conference, Trump said, "Our current president came out of nowhere. In fact, I'll go a step further. The people that went to school with him, they never saw him. They don't know who he is." It's crazy. So basically, he didn't exist. This is false. Numerous accounts of Obama's college classmates refute Trump's claim.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
man.
that's what it
Trump
started.
is wild,
And
man.
it's the longest webpage I've ever seen. It's just one long page, and it goes all the way to when he did something in. Actually, it stopped in October 31st, 2018. I guess they stopped doing it then.
Thank God.
Yeah,
I was just talking to my mom and my brother about they were obviously freaking out about Trump, and I'm like, man, y'all gotta stop letting this dude affect you this way. I'm like, I asked both of them. I was like, give me one solid way your life has changed since Trump came into office.
Mm-hmm.
Give me something that Trump has done that has directly impacted your life personally to make you feel as convicted as you do as this man is just like the worst thing since the devil. And they couldn't name anything because he hasn't.
Yeah, I mean, it's just words that he says mostly. He hasn't actually really passed anything. Nothing he's actually wanted to do has gone through. I mean, he's kind of fucked up some things for immigrants, but it was already kind of fucked up for immigrants in the first place.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just most of it is, not necessarily him, but people around him, and it's just a lot of words coming out of his mouth. He's just enjoying his fucking time, it seems.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, can I sit here and again, I'm not advocating for him.
No, not at all. Not at all.
We could have done much better. We could have done significantly better.
Oh yes.
But what I think when you cry wolf, when an actual wolf comes, nobody's going to pay attention.
Yeah.
So
yeah, exactly. I mean, every single president ever has always had something incredibly wrong with them, according to whichever side didn't win. You know what? Actually, I'm pivoting on this. Not even pivoting, but I was talking today to Lydia about this. Like, there are certain people that, how it's just team based. Everything's team based. You're a fan of something. So if you are a Republican or you are a Democrat, you only vote Republican or Democrat, and you basically vote who the Republican Party and who the Democratic Party tell you to vote for, because they always consolidate all the candidates down to one that they think is the best and gets the party's nomination. Now, you will vote for them. These people will vote for them without any thought whatsoever. And even if there is some thought, because they are so loyal to their quote-unquote team, they will not falter at all in voting for these, either a Republican or Democrat. And I find that crazy because, like, I can see that in sports, yes, unless your team commits some murder or something. Like if someone on your whole team is like getting together and murdering puppies in the street, I don't fucking know. But like, you can, like, political parties, they can do things wrong. They can have bad viewpoints. Why I don't understand why more people don't go towards candidates that have more of an in the middle type stance. And well, I guess to answer my own question a little bit, there isn't a lot of people on that middle ground, type soapbox, because there's no one to support them there. There's no one that can say, all right, you agree with everything I agree with.
Yeah, I mean, time and time again, their independents have tried to make a strong run at the presidency, and all
there
they
were
end
two
up
last time, I think.
Stealing votes. Yeah, they just end up stealing votes, and nobody looks at them and says, "Oh, this person actually has a legitimate chance of winning the presidency." And until that point, they'll never have a chance. And I don't know what it would take to get somebody who has voted Democrat for the last 30 years to get them to change their vote. I don't know, but if they haven't done it by this time through pure reasoning, I don't know what new information you or I or anyone else could give them to make them change their stance on just being entrenched in one political party for no matter what. I don't get that type of thinking because I've never approached anything in my life where I say to myself, it doesn't matter what new evidence I'm given. It doesn't matter what new facts I come across on my own. There's no way I'm changing my mind on this. I don't even know how to operate. My mind can't even comprehend how people can exist in that state.
Yeah.
So I don't even advise for people to think otherwise.
I always try to have a healthy doubt about everything before I, make my decisions. I like to doubt them and then try to, prove those doubts wrong if I can with whatever I'm looking into, just because it's easier to go about that than just, well, it's not easier, but it's easier for me to not think that I'm, kind of leaving something on the table when I just make a blind, following of some party or some, idea.
Yeah. People, and I think it comes with, and I know I heard this a lot during my childhood, and it kind of kept me back, is never second guess yourself. No. Second guess yourself all the
Third,
time.
fourth, sixth guess
all
yourself.
The time,
yeah,
bro.
yeah.
You know what I mean? And even if you, and that doesn't
check and
still
double
mean,
check. Yeah, fuck. When you make a goddamn left turn, you're supposed to look left and then right and then left again. Like you're even in driving. Like you
if you were ever on the road,
double
and you were
checking
like,
is what you should do
what.
all the time. Like, and
Yeah.
there's just, I know there's people in this coming up election that are they're going to vote opposite of Trump, despite any positive thing that he may do for the country in his 4 years at his first term as president. They're going to vote anyone else just because there's, Democrat. That's what they vote. Whoever ends up getting that nomination. And then there's people that will, no matter what Trump has done on the bad side and all the terrible shit he's tried to cause or has caused, they'll look past that completely and just be like, all right, Republican, whatever. He's my guy. That's who we're going with, right? Yeah. 4 more years.
And
Did you?
This is what
they already have the sender back chant going.
Yeah, I know, dude.
Shit's
and
crazy.
This is the term Eric Weinstein came up with that I just love is steelmanning arguments.
Oh yeah,
right?
yeah.
And I think it's been so helpful to me where you take the opposition's arguments and you try to make them better than they can.
Yep.
You do all the research, you take all the angles that they can and understand what their points are to a level that, it almost changes your mind, right?
Yep.
And what that is, not only does that help you in persuasion, but it also opens your mind up to other things that you may have not known about.
For sure.
And if more people use that tactic, then you say, oh, maybe they're not so crazy in why they would think and believe these things. But nobody wants to do that. They just it frustrates me. And then I could make the argument that the internet, facilitates that.
Of course.
Because how do people get clicks? By pissing you off.
Yeah, that's really the only way. I mean, that's the best. Well, not the only way. It's the best way. It's the best way is getting people upset to then, I don't know, bend to your will, basically, of what you were trying to do the whole time.
Yeah. And it seems to me to be such an infantile way of running a government in a country, but yet and still, we do question it to a degree, but it just seems like we're okay with the bullshit that we've been putting up with for so long, as if that things being this way is just a given, as if we the people have no right and no say in how. It just seems like such a okay, here we go again. But no, man, none of these people can exist in these offices, can implement these policies without us giving them the okay.
Yeah, yeah.
We relinquish our power so easily, and it frustrates
Everybody
me when
does.
people. Yeah, and I get the whole no voting thing. I understand that side of the argument. Trust me, through and through. I understand how people can feel as if their voice doesn't matter.
Yep.
But man, extrapolate that to a larger population. Imagine if one person, then 10 people, then 1,000 people, then 1,000,000 people all had that same thought. People would just manipulate you in whichever way, and you could do nothing about it. Everybody has a voice. I couldn't imagine if certain people throughout history had said, yeah, my voice doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Man, we've been in the fucking dark ages.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody matters. Everyone has something to bring to the table. But I would have thought that goes without saying, but apparently that's not the case.
Yeah, apparently not. I mean, things are kind of upside down these days. It's a little different than it's ever been.
Oh yeah, that's what I wanted to say. Like, get back to my point is this whole thing of you can have conviction, you can be confident in the decision you made after second, third, fourth, and fifth guessing yourself. Because if you can do that, if you can second guess a decision that many times and still at the end of it want to do it,
yeah,
then you can be assured that this is a decision you really want to do. This is a path you really want to take. So this whole idea of if you want it, just go for it and never look. It's fucking stupid in my opinion.
Okay.
Every time I've made a blind decision like that, I've looked back like, what was I thinking? Oh, that's right, nothing.
Yeah, I mean, but I guess you could say you learn, if you fail at something when you do go into it blind like that, that is a lesson in itself. That's, very valuable in a way.
Agreed. Now,
But yes, it's better to not have made the mistake maybe in the first place, depending on what the mistake is.
Yeah, right. And I'm not saying, get stuck thinking, right? But it's assess something from a few different angles. And yes, once you decide that this is something you want to do, you go into that shit full-fledged and never look back, 100%. But prior to making that decision, you should try to fucking think about all the ways it can fail, all the ways it can be successful.
Yep. No, I agree.
That's me.
Yeah, no, that's a good way to be. That's a good way to think, for sure.
So did you find the list, or do you want to continue?
I didn't, but I mean, yeah, I guess, kind of one of the things we talking about was, is America, can we consider the country of America overall good or bad? Just in general, like if you thought of it in simple terms of the good guys versus the bad guys, in terms of like, I don't know, some type of movie or however you would put it. Do the positive outweigh the negatives? It's a very simple way to put it. Like the good things that we've done as a country, do they outweigh the negatives, the bad things we've done as a country as well? And this can include anything that you believe happened that might not be confirmed as well. Certain things that certain people think. I don't know.
Yeah. All right. So I guess we can start. You want to start with the good or the bad?
I mean, it's hard to say. I mean, I feel like it's mostly bad. I feel like it's almost all bad in a way because there's yes, yeah, I do.
Okay. Why?
Just from the beginning, I mean, you got conquering a place that was already inhabited by another people and decimating that people to almost the point of them not existing anymore in this current day and age. Then you have
so that's the number one negative.
That was like first is what I'm saying. Like that's how we started.
Yeah, that's how we started.
That's not a great like if you want to go like a scale, you're negative so far. Like you're way down. You gotta make up for that with some really good shit like over the next couple hundred years. And I'm not sure we did that because it's a very young country. Like we're compared to other countries, we're very, very young. So according to this random ass timeline I found on datesandevents.org. Hey, is it .org? It's not bad.
Yeah.
But
gotta be reputable.
When was it? Christopher. There we go. Captain John Smith, explorer and founder of Jamestown, 1607. That's when he, I guess, got to America. That's widely considered like what, the discovery, right?
Yeah,
I believe so. I mean, so that's that's when we started kind of decimating the populations of the Native Americans that were here.
All right, so let's put a pin in that. Is there anywhere else we could have gone where we wouldn't have had to take some type of action?
I don't know. I wasn't there. I'd like to be, but like, how do you know? I mean, we don't know who started the fighting and where that came from, but just going into someone's land and take. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how we justify that or quantify it.
Yeah, look. Do I wish we could all have, Americans Englishmen could have arrived off the boat, seen the Native Americans. We all cooked some salmon on the grill.
Okay.
and sang some kumbayas on Plymouth Rock. I would have loved that to be the case, but I don't know whether it's possible for two completely different cultures to clash and it be peaceful.
Yeah, I'm not necessarily. Yeah, okay, I get what you're saying. So maybe it was ultimately just any exploring that you do is going to lead to maybe some controversy of some kind. But there's, I mean, going into this even in a different, kind of topic within the same realm. How many wars have the United States participated in / started, and what are like the death tolls from those wars? Combined in terms of, I'll put that on the bad side, obviously.
Okay.
But I mean, I'm just looking at this. I'm not sure I even knew this, but I guess the American Revolution was a world war. I mean, I guess that makes sense because so many countries were involved. But because I forgot, France and the United States were together on that one against Great Britain. So, I mean, that was in like 1776. That was when it started. It's like, I mean, that's right at the beginning of the country too. That's 150 years in, just already going to war with our home country. So I mean, maybe we just blame Britain for all this shit. Maybe they're the bad country, and we just were trying to get out of this shit. I don't know.
Yeah.
But then
there was gonna happen shit regardless.
And then I mean, I guess during that entire time you have slavery going on, right? I mean, it was from the beginning until I don't fucking know what the last day was. You know, 18.
This by 1860. By 1861, over 3 million African Americans were slaves in the South.
Well, 65 was when I mean, see, you got Lincoln getting assassinated. Who did that? An American. An American did that. So that's chalk that up. But does that make up for what Lincoln did in the positive? I don't know.
Yeah.
But what hey, the creation of the atom bomb, that was us. That was here. You know, that has killed millions of people. Well, no, it hasn't. It's only killed a couple 100,000 actually, but it has the potential to kill everyone. So there's that.
We completely decimated
2 cities. 2 cities. Yeah.
Some pretty ratchet shit.
Oh yeah, don't forget the Spanish-American War in 1898 at the turn of the century. We were, fighting with the people to the south. I'm surprised we haven't taken on Canada at some point in our history. Maybe that's coming at some point. The Canada-America War. Because I mean, we fought everybody around us that was here. That was our former, kind of bosses of Great Britain or whatever of America. Fought everyone in I feel like the island area and I mean explorers are just they're not cool.
Yes, America has done some pretty fucked up things over the course of history that it's hard to sit here, not hard, it's impossible to sit here and justify. But at the end of the day, with all of that, look where we are now, right? You got to take some bumps and bruises, and I know, comparing the death of millions of people and the enslavement of many different groups of people, comparing that to some bumps and bruises is pretty fucked up. But in order for things to get to a certain level and progress, there will be casualties along the way. It's a reality. I mean, what
about the Civil War? We fought each other.
Yeah.
How about
families feud all the time.
Well, I mean, how about Vietnam? I don't even know what that was about. I don't think anyone even knew what it was about.
Well, who really does fuck with the Vietnamese?
Oil. It probably had something to do with that.
Okay, if looking at human beings from a historical perspective, have we ever been this civilized, peaceful people?
No, but is that all America?
No, I mean this throughout the world, throughout history. That's always the way we've been.
Yeah,
is that in on our journey to make things better, people will naturally be opposed or unaware of the advances we're trying to make, and those people we're gonna say, hey, this is what's gonna happen. Are you with that? No. Well, it's gonna happen, and if you're not with that, you're gonna die. So you could either come along or you could cease to exist. And is that a fair way of operating? No, but it's just is what it is. So and again, slavery was fucked up, but it already happened. There's no going back and changing that.
I'm not saying are we good or bad right now. Obviously, you would hope that we're not a country that's enslaving their people now, or causing wars in other countries. But I mean, we are doing that still. That's something that we do all the time. So it's just it's does the good outweigh the bad? So you're saying it does. The good does outweigh the bad.
I have to say that, considering where I'm sitting right now. I mean, look around yourself. Look, I'm looking around me. I mean, shit. I understand that I'm walking on the backs of a lot of people that died for me in order for me to be here right now. So I appreciate the sacrifices that they made, because it's pretty sweet in this moment.
Yeah.
I mean, every time somebody talks about slavery and how wrong it is, I always think about Louis C.K. Of course, but maybe. You know, of course, slavery was the
Oh yeah,
it was wrong, and it was every time it's happened, Chinese in the railroads and blacks in America, but maybe every great accomplishment in human history has come from slavery.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely true. I mean, but I'm also not just saying slavery is is it slavery versus all the good things we've done? Because I mean, we seem to just be all right. Think about all the wars in the history of the large wars. We seem to be the one that jumps into we're always in one. We're always in one. We're currently always in one, and it just seems like that's. We just gotta be killing somebody the whole time for it to be right. And is that just the way it is? And I mean, that's kind of how every country operates, and that's just par for the course.
That's a really good question.
But it's also like you can't categorize America as one thing, I guess, either, because it's not the people's fault that aren't perpetrating these things, and it's also not one person doing those things. Like if there's a soldier in another country of ours that shoots somebody and kills them, it's his fault specifically, but it's also whoever gave the orders' fault. It may be their boss's fault, but it's not your fault. It's not my fault. So it's weird you can't really necessarily blame America, but it's, I don't know. I guess more so the topic I wanted to get into is why the fuck are we always fighting in some goddamn wars every year?
That's a good question, because I wonder what are the ramifications if we, at any point in history, were to say we're taking all troops from every country we're in, like immediately, every single person that is an American-born citizen that is there through the military, you're coming home. You bring everybody. We're no longer dabbling in other people's economies, in their culture wars. Nothing. We're doing us over here.
Bunch of bored people.
Yeah. Why can't that happen? And
people be bored. I don't know, because we're like the big brother of everybody. We're like what happened in that book, 1984. It's just like we're the overwatchers of the entire world, and so is Russia apparently. So.
Oh yeah, of course. Russia's always.
I feel like we're watching, and then Russia watches through our devices. Like they're just the U.S. is watching, but we're watching the U.S. through that shit.
And I'm sure there are some political pundits who have been studying war strategy and for 30 years that will probably say that there are some strategic reasons as to why we're always at war and why we always have boots on the ground in certain locations. I'm sure, but have we ever tried it any other way?
I guess also if you look at it, like we had a lot of internal wars when we were forming as a country, America that is, and then wars with kind of who we got away from, which is Great Britain. But then once we became more of, and I guess it took until probably the Civil War for us to become a almost united states, because obviously the South tried to fucking secede and leave the goddamn country somehow. But I mean, I guess that's when it happened. But after that, it's more so we've looked for fighting outside of us. So fighting is just it's a natural part of who America has always been, I guess, from the very beginning. From fighting with the natives that lived here at the beginning, to fighting ourselves because we didn't have anybody else to fucking fight, to then fighting outside of ourselves.
Yeah, no, I guess it's a question about human nature. Is violence, fighting, murder,
that's part of
games,
male nature for sure.
No, I mean domination. Is that a natural thing to existing as a human being? Yeah, certainly.
Yes,
and
I would say
you bring up the point that it is a natural thing to males because males have primarily been in the position to make these decisions throughout history.
Well, and
so,
to also
of course,
even going further back, to be violent in order to get food to feed the tribe or the clan or whoever it was, you know, with our ancestors that were cave people, you know, Neanderthals and whatnot. Those were, I'm assuming, were mostly the men that were out committing violence all the time in order to make sure the tribe was surviving.
Yeah, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the violence would translate back to each other. You know,
No, I'm just, but it's violence in general. It's a reason that they would be violent in their natural, you know, passed down from generation to generation because that's what they do to survive. That's what they need to do to survive is be violent. Yeah. And then, you know, hey, fuck, they blame football players that are violent in their everyday jobs for being violent off the field with their, you know, spouses. And it's like, well, that's, I mean, like you're saying, that's probably what our ancestors were doing. They were being violent with, you know, animals while they were hunting them, and then that could translate as well to warfare or, you know, within the clan or tribe itself.
Yeah, no, I'm trying to think about that this way, that, you know, you're saying that violence to animals is what translated back to us being violent towards each other. And I'm thinking of other animals like a lion. So a lion uses a form of violence to hunt and kill wildebeest. And is it because that lion hunted and killed that wildebeest that a lion is violent to other lions within the pride? I don't think so. It's just within the nature of that thing.
But it is them practicing that violence and them, you know, perfecting that violence, and also it's just reinforcing violence. Period. It's just when you're doing it is an act of killing something. So, I mean, plus it gets adrenaline up when you're doing it. I would assume that lions have adrenaline. They probably have a fucking shit ton of adrenaline. Except for the ones at Lion King. He was eating grubs and shit. You remember that? He was eating fucking bugs in the woods and shit. Lions don't eat bugs. What the fuck? that ain't real.
And there's also that understanding that the simplest way to, you know, end any discussion is through violence. If you want to get shit done in the immediate, right now, violence is the best way to do it. Because reasoning takes so fucking long. It could take years. Where if you want to go from point A to point B and a motherfucker's in between, just sitting here and saying, "Hey, bro, you're in between me and my goal. This is why I think you should move. Here are some benefits to you moving and me getting there." You could just shoot him.
Yeah, I guess.
And then you know what I mean? Then it's like I'm now at point B, where otherwise it could have taken me a week to convince you to move.
Yeah.
So there is that natural understanding. Violence can solve shit quicker, whether we like it or not. It is a reality.
Yeah,
I could get you to act quicker.
I mean,
because it's like if you're in somebody's parking spot and they're like, "Hey man, can I talk to you about why you shouldn't have taken my parking spot?"
Yeah,
you like, "I'm on my face" or whatever. But if Shaq comes up to you and says, "Look, you parking spot. You got 5 seconds to get in your car and move your fucking whip, or I'm beating the dog shit out of you."
Yeah.
You're gonna get in that car quickly, bro.
I think I'm faster than Shaq. I run.
Well, I mean,
I would run. And he might. It's an SUV, so but a smaller car, he would definitely be able to move that shit out the spot.
I think so. Right? So there's you know, there is a shortcut to all the talking, man.
Yeah.
Physicality.
Okay. Well, I mean, yeah, I guess we can preach that to the listeners. Be physical. Get physical.
I'm not saying be violent.
I know.
I'm advocating it.
I know. I know what you're saying is, yeah, I mean, it's, well, and also people, as we talked about before, they just don't know what's true anymore, so it's hard to believe anything. So sometimes, I guess, smack upside the head is what they think works best or what will work best.
Right. I got into an argument with a good buddy of mine a couple years ago about what's a greater motivator, fear or love. And without question, man, it's fear. Without question. Fear and pain will get you to act right the fuck now.
Oh yeah, for
Love,
sure. And those are things that will
back
also
on the year.
are memories that'll last for a long time too. Are ones that
Yeah,
involve fear and
yeah.
pain. It's weird. It's
Yeah,
almost
man.
like there's an imprint that it makes on your brain. The fear
It's just
or pain, you know. Because you can
fear and
remember
pain.
times as kids when you were either in
I know.
pain or fear, and it's
Yeah.
vivid because
Vividly.
because it's
Vividly.
imprinted on your body almost. It's like an internal tattoo.
Mhm. And of course, you remember the love you were shown and the love you had, but it's a more fluid, vague, ambiguous.
Very those last two words. Yeah, I was like, "What is it? Fluid? I don't. That seems sure. That seems like a word with a sure person uses. I don't have that. Like, I don't remember any birthday before like 21.
Yeah. Right.
That was only 10 years ago. So fuck.
Yeah, but I mean, I can remember my first ass whooping. I can pretty much remember every ass whooping if we're being honest.
Yeah,
That
well,
pain-
scars help. Scars help too. You know,
for
there's
sure.
hey,
know
actually,
what I mean?
they don't only make an internal imprint. Sometimes there's an external one. Yeah,
To go right along with it.
exactly.
So
yeah.
that's so when you say whether America is good or bad, I'm like, I don't think it's either.
It's way too complex of a question. I know. It's just something that like popped into my mind the other day. It's like, are we able to make up for all the fucked up shit that we do? Like, do we do enough good as well to make up for all the like times where we're just like, we need oil. We're gonna go overthrow this country and say they attacked us, something like that.
Yeah, I was talking to somebody about the individuals who flew the planes into the
9/11. Yeah,
all of them Saudis, and then we went and attacked Iraq.
Yeah.
And whatever, bro. That's when I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist, but man, talk about ringing every bell.
Have you seen?
If 19 Kenyans attacked the White House right now, and they went and blew China up, you're like, bro,
what happened?
what's going on?
But because they're two different types of people in the Middle East, people don't Americans. Americans are just like, yeah, that's about right. I think that's close enough. And because Saudi Arabia is someone that we get a lot of money from and send a lot of weapons to, I believe.
Could you imagine?
Have you seen
over there and destroying their infrastructure the way we did to Iraq and Afghanistan?
No way. No. Have you seen Zeitgeist?
Yes. Oh.
Yeah, the 9/11 stuff. It makes you think, and you're like, some of this can't be true, but some of it, you're like, I don't know how this isn't true.
Alex Jones doc, right?
No, I don't know. Alex Jones didn't have anything to do with that, I don't believe. But because this thing came out, dude, this came out when I was in like college. It was like maybe 06, 07 it was out, and I remember showing it to my dad, and he talks about it to this day still about like 9/11 truther type shit. It's like, what about Building 7? What about Building 7? Still nobody answers that shit. They were just like, oh yeah, we had scheduled a controlled demolition at the same time as the terrorist attack. We had scheduled. Yeah, we had just happened to schedule this building to blow up the same time that the planes hit the other building. That's how it works.
Yeah, man. Look, if you take anything else and you put a lot of the same circumstances around it, most people would call bullshit. But for some reason, maybe the scale it was on, the great diversion that whoever did this played, it just caused this thing where like, oh no, it had to be, they couldn't. And I'm like, but a lot of the information suggests that there may have been something else going on.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Look, put it past our government that they wouldn't lie to us and mislead us, because they've done it many times before. It's been proven, it's documented.
Yeah.
So why would this time be any different?
Exactly. Yeah. No, I don't see why it would.
Yeah. And you mentioned something about I said you can't really compare whether you're good or bad, and you said, but have we done enough to alleviate some of the mistakes that we've made in the past? And so that brings me to a point I wanted to talk about, which is reparations.
Okay.
Obviously, this has been on the forefront because it's now something that's being seriously talked about and pushed.
Yeah.
Congress even had a hearing about reparations. And I think that is a woefully ignorant idea.
Okay. Why's that?
And here's why. How would you do this without first completely splitting the country immediately off the bat? So this group of people is going to.
Are they not already split?
I don't think so. I don't think America is
but this would push it. This would push it to that.
But this would, if you just say, okay, now we're going to take money from this population.
Yeah.
Yep, and we're going to funnel it to this population. And then the first immediate question is like, I ain't own no fucking slaves. And then,
but at the same time, just real quick, while I'm thinking about it, but where does the money come from? Would it come? It wouldn't come directly from people, right? It would just be like tax money, basically, right? Where it would come out, and you wouldn't know exactly who it's coming from, but it would come from taxes and then give to people whose families could be proven that they were slaves.
So let's say it is coming from the government. You're gonna give black people reparations. So why does a black millionaire deserve to get money from the government and a white guy in Kentucky with no clean water, who's poor as shit and has been for generations? How do you explain to him, and his family never owned slaves, he was never a part of it, never had a racist thought in his life? How do you explain to that guy why this millionaire over here gets money just because he's black and he doesn't get any? Right?
Yeah.
And money that you would give to black people. How many black people are in this country who are not the descendants of slaves? Take, for example, me. What if I got money? I'm first generation here. I don't deserve to get any money. So would you give me money? I'm a black person, right?
Yeah, it's hard to say how they would actually determine who would get it.
I just don't understand how you would.
It would have been cool, like day of, like, you know, within a couple years of when it ended, like, but it might have worked then.
I want that for if after like within 20 years,
even 20, yeah.
In 20 years after slavery ended, they were like, you know what? Hey guys, we fucked up. Here's a lot of shit to get you guys back on your feet. Guys are like way back. We're sorry. Boom. Then it's like, all right, cool. It makes sense.
Yeah.
But you have let time pass, and it's too murky. And then okay, so and we've given money to Native American folks, but it's like, where do you stop giving money to people? What about the Japanese that we put in internment camps?
Yeah.
What about the Chinese people that we blew up making railroads? How would you justify giving money to slaves and not giving money to descendants of those people?
Yeah, it's hard to say how you would do that at all.
I just don't understand. So I understand, like, I think it was in 2018 or 2008. I'm sorry, that Congress finally came out and apologized for slavery. It's like, hey, bro, a little late, but cool.
Cool.
Straight. It's fine. But this whole of just now handing out checks, I think it's a really bad fucking idea. But it comes from a good place, though.
I remember that was exactly where the "I'm rich bitch" thing came from Chappelle's show. It was Donnell Rawlins driving the truck full of money, I think, when he got his reparations check or something. Or it was a truck full of something. I forgot. Maybe it was something he bought. I forget what it was. Oh, cigarettes. Yeah, it was. It was a cigarette truck. He just bought the whole truck. Yeah. And then it was like that's where the thing at the end of the episode came from, where it was like, oh no, yeah, because he had honked the truck horn. Yeah, I mean, I see what you're saying. It would be very difficult for us as a country to legitimately put that program into place without doing it for every single person. So, I mean, maybe that's where the whole like Andrew Yang universal basic income thing kind of comes into place as like if you can give it to everyone, you might as well, because I think that's probably like another problem people see with UBI is that, like, how do you decide who gets it? Like, how do you decide who actually gets the help and the quote unquote reparations from the government every month? Obviously not the same situation with slavery, but it's still the same type of giving out money from the government and how that works and how confusing that is. I mean, they fuck up taxes every fucking year. How is it not? How is that? They can't even get that part right, and they control that part of it.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think whichever way you talk about the government giving a large chunk of people money for whatever reason, it is going to be a complicated, murky subject. I just think that when it comes to reparations, this is not an idea that's too well thought through. And my fear is that black people and minorities in general don't let this parlor trick blind them and again have them voting against their own best interests. Because, I mean, it should be fairly obvious that Democrats are doing this just to get black people to vote for them. My guy, I can promise you.
Oh, what, the reparations thing? Yeah.
Yes, they will promise reparations into office. The minute they get into office, look, niggas, okay, I know conversations about some checks. But look, after these 5 to 8 years, I got you. Then the time is going to come and go. Nobody's going to see a damn thing. Just like when they said they would give people 40 acres in a mule. Yeah, a few people got them, but most people didn't.
Yeah, right.
You know? And that was, they had it figured out. It was shortly after slavery ended, trying to get people back on their feet. It was signed off into law. Hey, 40 acres in a mule. And almost nobody, and not a damn, very, 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 very few people saw anything from that.
I wonder if they could still get away with doing that, like 40 acres and a mule, if that would still fly today. Like, what's the equivalent? Like 40 acres and a Toyota Corolla.
And a Toyota.
Damn, that was shit. Yeah, Toyota Corolla. There we go. Exactly. Yeah, it's like you get not even 40 acres because there ain't that much land left in the United States. You can't do that. It's like, we'll give you this corner lot and a Toyota Corolla. The lot does not have a house on it. The lot does not have a house. It is empty. You have to build your own house. We'll give you the wood to build the house.
I'll take that.
Actually, Pootie Tang. You go to your farm, your Pootie Tang farm.
Shit, like Chappelle, man. That's what he did.
Exactly. Yeah. Hey, gotta get away eventually. I mean, once we become famous for this, eventually you'll get too. It'll be too crazy. You have to go retreat to your farm.
Rent out.
Yeah. Work on the planting of the corn or whatever it is that people do on farms.
If we ever became the voice of a nation, the nation's in serious motherfucking trouble, bro.
very, very much agree. Very much agree.
I just think it's really. The last thing I'll say about this is, after personally stepping out from behind the veil of letting some Democrats and people who pretended to be pro-black trick me for years, and finally having the curtains pulled back and seeing these manipulative things that they've been doing to minorities for so long, while then minorities never reaping any of the rewards that they're claiming they will. I just want to stress to people, just look into it deeper. Look at all the promises they've made to black people previously and just see how many of them that they've capitalized on. And if you can sit there and say, oh, they've done so much, and okay, fine, then I stand corrected.
Yeah.
But if I just challenge you to just think differently. And I'm not telling you to go out there and vote Republican. No.
Well, that's very Trump. That's basically very Trump.
Yeah. Just think in a different route. And just don't assume that because they're Democrat and they're talking about reparations means they actually have the best interest at heart. At the end of the day, they're just saying whatever it fucking takes to get them elected.
Yeah, no. I mean, that's every one of them, though, I think. Almost every person in the political spectrum,
I'm talking from a very subjective point of view.
Sorry.
And the reason that they're talking about reparations now is because they're panicking. Because I think more people, having conversations amongst my friends who are black, more and more people are starting to pull back that veil and see what the fuck are these Democrats talking? What are these liberals talking about that they got our best interest in hand? And Democrats are starting to see that and they're panicking like, reparations.
I think that they're just trying whatever they can to get Trump out of office as well too. It's just like all these different tactics.
Mm-hmm. Definitely, that is a major part of it as well.
Yep.
So I'm just trying to look, man. I was once that young black dude who swore up and down that the white man was trying to get me, that the reason I was doing all the stupid shit I was doing, and that I was being held down. And you know what? I was thinking about this today. It is such an integral part to a lot of black people's identity, the struggle.
Yeah.
So if you were ever to take that from them, it's kind of like taking Christianity from a Catholic.
Yeah, I mean, there's certain things people convince themselves that they need, and that becomes their identity for sure.
Yep. It's so I was listening to some people talk today. I'm like, it's so ingrained into the psyche that if you tear that away, that the struggle's not real, this perception is not real, what is going to fill that hole? And I know for me, when it first happened, it was one of the scariest moments in my life because I realized, I am truly responsible for every single one of my actions. Every thought I have, every move that I make is solely up to me. There's nobody controlling. And initially, that is a very frightening idea when you have been controlled for so long.
Yeah, I think I went through something similar. I completely understand what you mean.
You know, and then when you realize after you get off that when you get past that initial terror and realize the freedom that having your own faculty gives you, then the world becomes an entirely different place. You feel like you can do and accomplish anything you want. But breaking those chains initially is very scary for a lot of folks. And because I always wondered, I was like, all right, I was able to break the chains, but my situation is unique. Because even though I was born here, I still had an African heritage. My parents were African. So I had that culture that was somewhat disassociated from Black American culture. So it was easier for me to step away. Yeah. But if this was all new and generations of my family were from here and that was all a part of their identity, I could see how much more difficult it would be to separate myself from that.
Yeah.
Because I had these conversations and I was like, why is it so hard? And then when I had that realization, I was like, I think I see why.
Yeah, and it's good to be able to put yourself in other people's shoes, you know, no matter what background you come from. And it's I think one of the biggest problems is that people can't do that for one another. You know, it's hard to see yourself in there. So you see a lot of different people that, you know, are obviously they see this reparations thing and it almost offends them in a way, like, you know, white people in general, like it offends them because they don't think that they had anything to do with the slavery and that there's no reason that any of this should happen, but they're not using empathy and putting themselves in a different situation than where they're from. And that's just, I mean, I know we talked about it multiple times, but it's just something that we should all practice more of because it helps, you know, it helps everyone in that situation.
Yeah. Yeah, because when I say these things, I'm not coming from a place of, you know, holier than thou. I'm coming from a place that I mentally, physically, and emotionally inhabited the same exact space that they did. I'm trying to tap in to that young Black man who was like me 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Who may be able to go out with his friends and do something that will completely handicap his life forever, all because he thinks he needs to hold himself to this ideal of what it means to be Black. And I'm just trying to like shake that. Like I give a fuck about you specifically.
Yeah.
I want not do that because I know how much it has held me back personally. There are opportunities that I've missed out on and I probably will miss out on in the future because of some shit I did thinking it was what I was supposed to do. I probably could never get a government clearance now because of shit that's on my record. And who knows how much that may hold me back in my future. I don't know. But if I can save somebody else from making that same stupid decision, then all of this shit will be worth it, bro.
Yeah. I mean, that's ultimately what you want to do is learn from your mistakes and teach other people to learn from them as well. I mean, that's all we can all ask for, I guess.
That's it, because it pains me when I'm driving down the street and it's very easy to spot the kid who thinks differently. I don't, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
he's trying to fit in and he's a cool guy and he can blend. But for somebody who's already been, so from an older person's perspective, who was a little different themselves, you can see through the veneer and you could see, oh man, this kid is just doing what he's surviving. Actually,
Exactly.
So I get it.
Yeah.
Right? But I just want. It pains me to see that guy and say, like, I want to just say, bruh, you know, there's a different way, man, and it will be hard. Oh my God, it will be so fucking. But at the end of the day, man, you'll feel it'll be worth it.
Yeah, the wisdom comes with age, I think, and experience, and
Certainly.
it just takes a while to come to that realization. You also, I mean, when you're a younger man, the testosterone just gets hyped up and makes you a kind of an angry, violent person. It really happens. It's just all men. I was watching this little. I mean, it really even starts even a younger age than that. I was just watching this little 3-year-old the other day, just watching him play around. He was just so violent about everything he was doing, and it's just like it starts so young. He's just screaming and throwing shit and breaking shit just because it makes him feel better, I guess. I don't know, but I kind of know because I did that shit when I was a kid. You know, it's the same type of thing. Like it's just you know, you want to learn from those mistakes as well, and it's harder when you're younger for sure.
It's certainly it's so weird being a guy and seeing younger boys growing up and how they handle their emotions, and how us being physical literally makes everything fucking better. Which is why I get upset when I'm going through shit. I get obsessive in the weight room because picking heavy things up and putting them down makes me feel better.
Yeah. Well, it tires out that energy that you would use to punch something.
Yeah. Dude, I'm like, yo, if people who I hate guys who abuse their partners. It's like, dude, let's go hit a punching bag.
Yeah, exactly.
All that energy, you stop taking that out on the human being who loves you. Like, what the fuck is your problem, right?
Yeah, for sure.
It's like, it's so funny, but you watch young girls getting rid of their energy. It's not the same. It's if you take a little boy, right, and he's like upset and just all this energy, and you're like, look, just punch this pillow for like 5 minutes.
He'd be tired as fuck and love every second of it.
And he will, and like a little girl would be happy too, but it's just, I've seen it. I've done this with my nieces enough. It's just not the same.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, my brother and I got boxing gloves. I remember we were at my grandmother's house one Christmas, and we got the not even official at all boxing gloves. So they were very thin, I'll say. So you were feeling some fists in there. But basically we went upstairs, and it was just like in a small ass hallway, in a small ass little condo. And it was just like, go, touch the gloves, go, pow, 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 and just no blocking, just fucking fighting, just punching constantly. And I remember, I think his were orange and mine were purple, or maybe the other way around. But it was just like that was what we wanted to do. Like, it was getting that out. It was getting that competition, that aggression, the physicality, everything out in one go. You know, and that's obviously we've talked about before, but that's why men tend to go towards those more physical contact sports, I think. But I mean, there's more design for them too, because men are bigger, they're stronger, they're more athletic. That's just how they're built.
Yeah. And I know, for me personally, every one of my best friends I fought, and it's actually, our relationship has gotten significantly better afterwards, significantly. And it's so weird because, just looking from it, just like you have a friendship, things just reach a boiling point, and you're just like, fuck it, we going right now? Yup. And then you have a conversation with your body. You're like, oh, this is for that dumb shit you said that day, punch. This is the dumb shit you said that other day, knee.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
Right? But by the end of it, you've had that conversation with your fist, and you feel so much better. So much better. And it's a weird thing to have to deal with, because I wish I could let out that energy in a more productive way.
Yeah, I know. I mean, you do, and it's just how it works with being a man. You know, you just
with testosterone, man.
As you said, you hope that younger people can learn from your mistakes, for sure. It's you see that always in like movies and stuff. The old wise guy that the old wise man that's giving advice to the young guy that's very like, you know, too like aggressive and angry and like too, you know, has no finesse or anything in his life. Yeah, that's what you always see. That's what you're going towards, right? You're gonna be that old wise man.
Dude, that's why Rafiki's my favorite character.
Oh, he was good. He was good in it. He brought out his stick.
I mean, come on, dude. Rafiki, I from a young age, I just always related to him for whatever reason. That kind of spiritual, you know, older guide that just knows the way, has been there, and can relate to you information that you could use to beat the game. Like even if they didn't beat the game, that could help you advance in your life in whatever way. I've always loved that character, and maybe that says something about my personality, who I am. I feel like I fuck up just to tell other people how not to fuck up.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe there you go. That's hey, it works.
You know what I mean? It's like, hey, yo, I just, you know that dumb shit you thinking about doing? I just went and did that dumb shit.
I did that dumb shit. Don't do it. Don't do that.
Don't do it.
Not worth
and
it.
all I need is one guy to be like, yeah, bro, that shit do look dumb. Yup. I can verify.
Exactly.
I can verify. And then he not doing it, you know. Man.
We've all been there. We've all been there.
Yeah. We don't. It seems, you know, I guess this is why I'm so opposed to the internet. Everything is about like right here and right now, and we're dismissing a lot of the history and the lessons that we have learned over thousands of years. And I wish we would which is why what scares me about, you know, religion and the Bible being taken out of our society is that is just a compilation of a bunch of lessons learned over time. Yeah. If you're not going to as anything else, take it as that, you know?
That's true.
And I wish we would stop focusing on right now. Like, look, how have things been in the past, and what does that say about right now? And what mistakes did they make, and how can we make sure we don't make the same one? So.
That's a good message. That's a good message, man.
Hey, man, I'm just out here trying to give back to the people, man.
I know. One podcast at a time, right?
Hey, bro, I didn't take all these lumps and bruises and all this emotional, mental, and physical pain just to sit here with it.
Right.
Like, at the very least, let y'all motherfuckers have it.
There you go.
Y'all take this pain, bro.
There you go. The theme of the next couple episodes will be raise trials and tribulations. That will be doing for the next couple. Tune in.
Hey, bro.
Tune in next week.
If we're gonna start raise trials and tribulations, we're going to have to branch off this podcast because that's going to be 50 more episodes.
Oh, God. Yeah, we're going to have to. It'll be like Dan Carlin's Hardcore History. It'll just be like an offshoot.
Yeah, I'm going to have to start a paywall, bro. You want to hear this pain, nigga, you have to pay for this shit.
Exactly. There you go.
That was a good one, man.
Oh, man.
Anything else you wanted to hit on, man?
I don't have much else, man. I know they sentenced El Chapo. I saw that the other day. He got life. He got life plus like 25 years. I don't know why they would do that. Why are you gonna add 25 to the life? That don't make no sense to me. That's just like a symbolic thing, right? It's just like, you know what? And fuck you with the 25 years.
I always wondered that myself. Like, why did they give 6 consecutive life sentences?
Yeah,
it's like. You should just show up to court and like, how long am I locked up, Evan?
Dude's like, you said 6 consecutive life sentences. Dude's like 599, and he's like, parole. I hear parole's coming up. I hear my parole date's coming up next year. Year 600.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh my God! They said that in that prison, there's like a supermax prison in Colorado in the mountains. And that's like the where all the worst of the worst goes. So the Boston bomber is there. Some CIA Russian spy is there. El Chapo is going to be there, obviously. One of the 9/11 guys is there. Plotters is there. Like there's the hit list of fucking like the all-star squad of bad people. Oh, the Unabomber. Ted Kaczynski is there. The Unabomber that blew up the fucking hospital and shit. Yeah. Yeah.
Bro, you ever wonder whether for prisons like that they ever get it wrong? Because you know how there's all these innocent people in prison,
I don't think those prisons those might be the ones where it's the lowest percentage for sure, because they're like, they don't just send you there when they're just like, yeah, we kind of think this dude. They're like, we found him with 40 bodies at his house and he was talking to them. They were all dead, obviously. Yeah. Yeah, no, I don't think so. They're probably, but it is a little wild. It's all solitary confinement, 23 hours a day, in cell. Yeah. So even for a crazy person, you're not gonna go there and become sane. That is literally a closet with a toilet for you to live out your days. That is it, for you to die in. That's what it is. It's actually a coffin that you stand upright in, I guess, is really what it is. Yeah. Well, it is, but yeah, it's not like, they claim in other prisons, certain ones, well, maybe not certain ones, I don't know, but rehabilitation, like nonviolent offenders or whoever they want to put back into society, be functioning members of society. These people are not that. They're just like, we need the minimum amount of space to keep you in, and there's a lot of you, so we're going to make them very, very small. And you have to stay in it forever because you're all crazy as fuck. And we have to take you out 5 minutes at a time each. So we don't have enough people to be doing all that. Y'all all murderers and terrorists and shit. We can't do this. Dude, the guards there got to get paid quite well.
Oh, all the money.
Oh my god.
I think it's like the MLB. What's the system called?
I just had a weird thought.
The MLB system where you got to like work your way up through prisons to be a prison guard for the worst. That one,
yeah, probably so. It probably is.
$300,000 a year.
It's like, oh shit, this dude was at the riot in '95. Oh, he needs that's on his resume. Like, I was at the Michigan prison riot in '95.
I killed 3 inmates. I held the fort down.
Yeah, right. Dude, that's if I was just, I don't know why I had this thought, but what if El Chapo escapes? You know how he's escaped twice already? Like, so what if he escapes the Supermax in Colorado? But it's like, if he escaped, it'd have to be some wild shit where like an attack helicopter comes in and blows the wall out. And like, but I see it as like the real like evil villain type thing where all of them escape. They all get out together and they form like some plot, and then real superheroes got to exist. So me and you, we got to go into action. That's what's going to happen.
Hey,
I've been waiting for my calling, and this is it.
That reminds me of SWAT. Remember where he's like, I give $100 million.
Oh, yes. That was wild. Yeah. His brother apparently still runs the cartel. That's what they were saying on the news thing I saw. It was Vice. I was watching Vice News tonight, and they were saying that he... yeah, his brother still runs it, and they're still doing all that they were doing while he was in there.
If I was a billionaire and my brother previously headed up the organization and he got locked up, shit, I spent a couple $100 million to break him out of prison. Why the fuck not?
They're trying to, just so you know, they're trying to how much money he allegedly has. They're trying to seize 12-some billion in assets that they think he got from drug trade.
$12 billion, man.
I'm pretty sure it said billion. That would be a lot, though, wouldn't it?
Yo,
I don't know.
I mean,
maybe it was $2 billion, but it was a lot. It was a lot of money. I was like, oh, whoa, that's the most drug money that ever has existed.
Yo, it sounds worth it. I'm not advocating, but shit, if that is on the horizon,
dude,
if you
could make that me and you are going to train. We're going to train. If the SWAT movie is real, we're gonna form that the Suicide Squad with Will Smith and all the people, and break El Chapo out. Oh my god! Hey, I gotta do something else with my life other than sales, so I gotta get out there and break El Chapo out. If the price is right. If the price is right.
Look, nigga, to get out of sales, I'll break El Chapo out for $1.
Oh god!
Give me $1. To get me the fuck out of sales, I'd do it. Fuck this shit, man.
Yeah, I mean, you'd have a top spot in his organization if it worked, I guess.
I don't know. Mexican people like black people? I'm pretty sure they don't.
I'm not sure about that relationship.
And-
Leave me out of that one. There's already a complicated history with my race and black people, and probably also Mexican people. So y'all can have that one. Y'all can have that one. Enjoy together.
As a rule of thumb, Mexican, it's like the MS-13, they don't really fuck with black people like that at all.
Oh, I heard of some wild shit they've
Mexican
been doing.
They don't fuck with black people.
MS-13, cutting people up with swords. Some crazy shit.
They're always doing some wild shit, man. I feel like since history existed, just been El Chapo and his people just cutting people up. Hanging people with no heads from bridges and shit.
Oh, yeah.
If you go to Suarez and try to take out a life insurance policy, certain companies won't even cover you. Because this is a high possibility, especially as a white person.
Yeah.
They're like, you die.
Yeah.
So it's going down over there, man. We're always giving immigrants grief about coming over here. But bruh, if you live in an environment like that, sheesh, man. How do you tell people to just figure it out on your own?
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. That's not compassionate at all.
Yeah. So we calling.
Yeah, I guess, man. Yeah, that was a good one. We almost did 2 hours. It's about an hour and 50 minutes. So
okay.
That was good. We'll try to get back next week or within the next 2 weeks at least. And I mean, we'll the quality only get better because we're just trying out this long distance thing for the first time. Y'all probably couldn't even tell until I just said that. So
yeah, just sweet.
We'll add some big crit here at the end, and we're out. Yeah, I'll just.
I just work it out. Double it down, I work it around, I'm making it happen. I've been snapping, I've been snapping. What you doing, that ain't rapping. That right. That's how I cap it. Put a cap on it. Luxury tax, my flow. How I get it.